Hi everybody and welcome back to Let's Play Tokyo Xanadu EX Plus. So last time out, Asuka kind of blew off the handle and kind of went off completely on her own to take on a to take on a Grim Greed, which was hiding in the fog, which was trying to hurt Mayu. And we headed into the Eclipse with the rest of the gang to kind of stop her from doing something stupid. So at the start of this part, we've found everybody else. We've found everybody who's been captured by the Grim Greed in the fog. This doesn't look good. That doesn't look good at all. But anyway, the fog effect there does not look good. But anyway, so we've saved, so we've found all of them. So now all we've got left to do is to defeat the Grim Greed and to get rid of it once and for all, so we can get rid of this Eclipse and save everybody. I'd help from a blue lady, so to speak. Jumping out of the way. And that was the Greed which kind of took Asuka initially. It was this giant purple hand. Pardon me. Sorry about that. Something serious going on. Yeah, she's back to not trusting us again. Feels as if she has to deal with this all by herself. And to be fair, she does drive it back at the very least. And so she runs off. Sorry about that. And yeah, this is the first time that we see her kind of, or rather that the rest of the gang see her kind of, you know, her full power kind of on display. With that transformation that we've used once and never again up to this point. But whatever. So yeah. Yep. And of course, it has two hands. So of course we have to show up again. So we have to. So yeah, we do have a boss fight against Malice Claw. My apologies. So yeah, Hiragi's kind of buggered off, chasing after the other Claw. So yeah, what we've got to do is we've got to kick this thing's back of its hand. Doesn't really have an ass. Yeah, this thing is weak to Shadow. Basically, when you initially fight this thing on a first playthrough, when you don't have all, you know, when you're not over leveled to fuck like I am because of New Game Plus, this boss is actually a pretty tough challenge overall. I mean, you can kind of tell because I've done two really big attacks on this thing, and it's only taken down half its health. It does a fuck ton of damage. You know, its physical hits are pretty strong. It has that lightning attack, which is got a lot of range, which is kind of tough to dodge and avoid. And it also has that ability where it kind of shoots a bunch of energy balls at you, which also cause a lot of damage and are quite tricky to avoid. So yeah, overall he's a bit of a pain. He's kind of got both sides covered. He hits really hard. And he has wide-ranging kind of AoE attacks, which, you know, are a pain in the ass to avoid. So, but we've taken it down in the end. It's like I say, if you're playing this on a fresh file, a completely new game, this is the first boss I think which is truly really difficult. And you know, I remember needing a lot of health restoring items at this point. But anyway, we've beaten that fucker, so now we have to try and chase after Asuka. And where is she? She's not here. And that's her sword. That's her weapon. What the fuck's it doing here without her? Oh dear. This does not look good, does it? Which, by the way, it's kind of it's not a good look for Asuka here at this point. Saying that she can handle all this shit completely on her own, and now she's disappeared and her soul device is kind of with us. And we get that scary laughter again. So yeah, Asuka's gone missing. So in a way, it's kind of a success and a failure. The Eclipse disappeared afterwards. We were able to rescue all of the people out of who were taken into the Eclipse. But Asuka's gone missing. And nobody knows where she is at this point. So yeah, seems as if she was taken by that other hand, which is not good. I think this is the first time that something like this has really happened. Where, you know, one of the main... not a character that's been introduced, but one of the main characters is already there, has actually been taken and has disappeared off into the distance. So yeah, we're in a bit of trouble here. Most powerful of us, Asuka, has gone missing, and yeah, we've now got to try it, and the mess is still not sorted out because the fog's still around like a motherfucker. We're in a bit of trouble. Shio's got a point, I suppose, but he's still, you know, still, it doesn't really help to say, don't worry, she's only been captured by an evil shadow. Doesn't really help all that much. So anyway, so this scene is pretty much just letting us know that, you know, all the people who were captured by the Grim Greed and taken into the Eclipse are all just fine, and that Asuka's gone missing, and basically Ko's phone was able to absorb Asuka's soul device, and so Ko's keeping it safe until we can find Asuka. Remember how I was saying earlier in the chapter how we're going to get a lot more stuff with Mitsuki in this chapter? Well, yeah, this is pretty much the start of it. So yeah, this is the first. So this is the you know, the start of her getting a lot more involved in the main plot. Kind of, she's pretty much just a, at least for this initial section until the end of the chapter. She's, or for the majority of the chapter, at the end of the chapter anyway, she's kind of the Asuka replacement, kind of the pro who knows what she's kind of doing when it comes to the Eclipse. Even if she is from a different organization with a different viewpoint, she still essentially takes Asuka's role between now and rescuing Asuka just before the end of the chapter. So there you go. And of course, we also see here that basically she seems to have a bit of a prior relationship with Shio, which I think we don't really go into it in this chapter, from what I remember. It's more of a my apologies, sorry, fuck. It's more of a thing that we go into more with one of the upcoming side chapters. But we'll have to wait and see. So yeah, and this is where we get a little bit of a rundown as well about the organizations of the underworld. We've got Nemesis, which is the group that Asuka is a part of, which was the first one to be kind of founded and is more about kind of my apologies. It's about kind of observing the eclipse and kind of dealing with eclipse gates as they kind of come along and cause problems. Whereas Mitsuki's group is Zodiac, and Zodiac is more of a group of companies which are kind of seeing how they can use the eclipse to personally kind of benefit themselves and to kind of, I guess, benefit the world a little bit as well. But it's more of a kind of a group which they've brought together to kind of get a personal advantage for themselves rather than just observing and dealing with the eclipse as it comes up. My apologies. So yeah, they kind of say that Zodiac is kind of like the group behind the scenes, kind of dealing with shit, and Nemesis is more of a forward-facing kind of thing, where they actively deal with they both deal with the eclipses, but kind of Zodiac is more kind of a for the dealing with the eclipse for their own personal ends, whereas Zodiac Nemesis is more kind of just dealing with it for the greater good as problems arise. And it's also kind of saying here that basically Nemesis and Zodiac are kind of in direct conflict with each other most of the time because of their opposing views. And so they kind of have to deal with... So they're often butting heads with each other. Which is why in previous chapters we've seen that Asuka and Mitsuki have a bit of a different kind of personality. No, that's the wrong word. Of a different kind of have a strained relationship, shall we say, because they're constantly kind of, because they're from rival groups, they've been constantly kind of butting heads and getting involved with each other a lot. My apologies. Fuck my throat. Yeah, and this kind of hints at the fact that not only did Mitsuki have a prior relationship with Shio, she also had a relationship with Kazuma, who was his, who kind of his best bud and helped him form the Blaze. So, and apparently he didn't think much of her either. I thought he was a bit of a scheming manipulator. But anyway. My apologies. Right. Yeah, and they're basically saying here as well, because of the fact that Ko has Asuka's soul device, that means that because it's specifically linked to the wielder, so it's linked to Asuka. That means as long as we've still got the Ko's still got the soul device in his possession, that means that Asuka isn't dead. So as long as we got that sword, she's going to be perfect. She's fine, at least for now. So we'll see what happens. So now comes where, yeah, here we go. This is what I mean when I say that Mitsuki kind of takes on the Asuka role, where she's kind of like, look, I can't have you guys getting involved with this one. Like the threat of the threat level of the greed is just too massive. for you guys to kind of deal with it. You know, so it's an S rank greed which can directly affect the real world. So yeah. And I like this little bit here where they kind of show you these are all the greeds that you've come up against up until this point. And they're kind of saying that these guys were all kind of, they affected their own kind of labyrinths, but they didn't really affect anything else like outside of that. And so kind of expressing or getting the point that getting the point across rather that this is completely different. This is a completely different scenario. You know, because these things are just so, you know, they're just so goddamn dangerous that we can't really that she doesn't feel comfortable letting us get involved in this. So it's what I mean by when I say that, you know, Asuka, that she takes on the Asuka role here, kind of pushing everybody away to kind of saying that she's going to deal with it ourselves. And that's basically what she's saying here. She's saying, fuck off. The pros are going to deal with it. Nemesis are going to get involved, and we are going to kind of, you know, they're going to save Asuka and just defeat the Grim Greed, the S-Class Grim Greed, all by themselves. So, yeah, that's pretty much where we are at this point. And yeah, we finally get an introduction to her. Basically, she's Mitsuki's secretary, and she provides a lot of support for her in her. And apparently she's a bit of a badass fighter as well, which we do see much later on in the story. But yeah, kind of a bit like Mercy Graves from the Batman series, not the Superman series. He was kind of Lex Luthor's kind of personal secretary, who he was also like a trained assassin and stuff. So there you go. So yeah, and this is where we already knew this, I suppose, but this is where the gang kind of find out that Asuka is one of the most powerful enforcers of her kind, even though she's so young. So she's basically saying, leave everything to us, you're not going to deal with it. And Ko's like, fuck you. I ain't dealing with this shit. You can't tell me what to do, bitch. Yeah, Kyoko's kind of like, you dare gonna go against my client. And the music's playing in the background. I like Ko's kind of logic here. It's just like, aren't you the student council president first? Shouldn't you be trying to do everything you can to rescue Asuka first, rather than just leaving it up to Zodiac? Yeah, so this is at this point it's kind of obvious, but basically Ko's a bit pissed off because, you know, he's taking this very personally, that she's kind of pushed everyone away without, you know, without trying to fully explain the situation to them. She's just kind of gone off on her own, pushing everybody away, and yeah, Ko ain't standing for that shit. He's not going to just be pushed out and just, you know, left on the sidelines when Asuka needs saving. After everything that's happened, he's going to go after. And he's saying basically, nah, don't give a fuck. Don't give a fuck, Mitsuki. I'm going off and doing this by myself. So, you can tell me all you want that not to get involved, but fuck it. I'm doing it. So, screw you. So yeah, Mitsuki is now off asking all of us to help out this time. And so yeah, this is pretty much officially when she, where she joins the party as a combatant. So yeah, we get to use Mitsuki from this point onwards. That's a bad choice of words, but you know what I mean. She's available for us to select in the going into the Eclipse and stuff. I'll talk about her kind of more when we head into the Eclipse. I think we're going to be heading into our first Eclipse with her next part, so I'll talk more about that then, I guess. But for now, we're just going to be dealing with. It's the next day, and basically Ko is still in a bit of a bad mood. So yeah, the fog's back and it's super, super, super thick. And Shiori's talking about a fairy tale here, about a fog that gets thicker and thicker every day, that she's reading. And yeah, you should probably pay attention to that a little bit. So yeah, that is going to come into play a little bit later on. But yeah, Ko's still deep in thought, still a bit pissed off after everything that's happened with Asuka. Yeah, it's kind of, and I like that because he talks about, because what I like about that is that he's obviously not paying attention. Sorry. So he kind of shows that he's not paying attention when Shiori starts talking about the fairy tale that she's reading, and that does come into play later. So I kind of like that. It's a bit of foreshadowing. And yeah, Asuka's not here, and we know why. And Shiori's kind of picking up on that maybe Ko knows the reason why, but we'll see. Time for lunch. So yeah, now we're getting into the swing of things now to go off and save Asuka. So yeah, there are loads of rumors going around about monsters that are living in the fog. And apparently the accounts of what's going on are getting more and more detailed. So obviously, stuff's getting worse and worse and worse. So yeah, Mitsuki has officially joined the party. There you go. I'll talk more about her in a combat sense next part. But yeah, like I say, she pretty much, until we get Asuka back, she pretty much takes the place of Asuka, like as kind of like the pro who gives all the advice, and is the head of pretty much the joint head of the party with Ko. So yeah, and Mitsuki is able to pull some strings so that we can all skip school and head off and try and get a head start on trying to find where Asuka is. So yeah, Sora, Shio, and Yuki are going to head off and as one group to try and find information, and we are left partnered up with Mitsuki. So we're heading to Station Area, the shopping street, and Brick Alley. So yeah, where we're going to be heading first is Brick Alley to talk to the woman who gives us all the part-time jobs, because she's got a bunch of information, because she's good at gathering information. So let's head over there first. But that's not going to be till the next part, so join me next time for the next part of Tokyo Xanadu EX Plus, when we're going to be doing some investigations, find some information about where Asuka could have gone to. So see you next time for the next part of Tokyo Xanadu EX Plus. See you next time.